Hello, my name is Rugare Gomo, and I'm a high performance coach. Welcome to your business summit, where we have experts ready to help you navigate your life and business during these unprecedented times. It's my pleasure to reintroduce you to David Firgaira, the founder and CEO of CDSE Consulting. David is a leader whose personal vision is to create futures that were never ever going to happen. So, what today we're going to be exploring inside of the business summit, how David and his company have really empowered or motivated his team inside of the new world order. So, welcome back, David.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome. So, David, I'd love to explore with you how you and your company have motivated your team inside from working from home, and particularly in this new world order. What are some of the challenges you've actually faced first?
Sure. I'd say to start, probably one of the things that's helped a little bit is that I've been working from home already since Christmas. So there are already things, obviously not within the same context of everything that's been happening with coronavirus, but just understanding some of the day-to-day challenges that you can face with just working from home and from a home environment, especially with a family and all the other kinds of distractions and things that can show up when you're working from home.
Before you continue, it'd be actually great to just share about some of the things that you actually deal with when you're working from home. When you say
Sure.
the family.
Yeah, let's probably point to the fact that I have my youngest daughter absolutely loves joining in on any business meetings that I have. To the point where actually just this morning I was on a business meeting call with my management team, and she got extremely upset at not being able to attend. And she also thought Rugare was in that meeting. He actually wasn't, but I caught a little video of her, in tears that she didn't get to talk to Rugare this morning. And look, so I have 5 kids at home. From the oldest is 11, and youngest is 2, except for the fact we have number 6 due almost any day now in the next week or 2, most likely. So yeah, it's a busy house. 3 of them at school, and actually just this week we've been having to deal with the adjustment to schooling from home, schooling online, as well as two not yet at school. We have continued them at daycare 3 days a week, but that in itself presents challenges. And I guess, as I already mentioned or alluded to there, I also have my wife at home who's heavily pregnant, and so we are dealing with all of that whilst I'm trying to run my business, and it is not without its challenges, and probably to put another point to that, also being a leader within my company, being managing director, I also have a sense of a real responsibility as well to keep my team motivated and to keep in the loop with how they're going. So it is a very challenging time, no question. I'm sure everyone out there's finding their own challenges and difficulties with adjusting to it, but it's also, dare I say it too loudly, it's been a lot of fun as well. I think learning how to embrace some of the challenges that have been coming up, and also make the most of the opportunity that even coronavirus has created to be able to be more present in the home and with the family. For me, family is a really big and important part of my life. Big.
In every way.
Every way. But also, it's also given, I think, us all an opportunity to really slow down and appreciate and enjoy and get to share that time with our family. And sometimes when I say appreciate and enjoy, there's the other side to it, which is, dealing with family more constantly and more regularly, and, potential for, is it Stockholm syndrome? Where you're all just stuck in that one place altogether. Something like that anyway. But, cabin fever maybe is the right term for it. But, it's not without its challenges, but certainly also not without its opportunities. And, and the opportunities to spend that time with the kids and rebuild on that relationship, as well as with my wife as well.
So great what you said there, because what you're communicating is you're not just a managing director for CDSE, but you're also your husband, you're also
Yep.
a father,
Mm.
and we're in lockdown as well, and you're responsible. Your family, it extends further than just your blood family. There's a whole company that's your family as well,
Yeah.
and you're responsible. The buck stops with you,
Yes.
in essence. So that's such a great context to create, because
Yes.
then you're also then having to provide leadership as well for many families. You're not just responsible for your own, but you're responsible for many, many other families as well inside of the New World Order.
Yes.
So maybe it would be great to hear some of the things that then you have put in place to help your other family, the CDSE family, while working from home.
Sure. Look, the first thing we really put in place was a working from home policy. So we were actually sent a template by our lawyer of just what that policy could look like. And that was a great catalyst. And I'd say probably it makes sense to me, but probably the thing I wasn't completely conscious of at the time was that when your staff are working from home, it still is a work environment. You, as the employer of those employees working from home, you have a duty of care, to their work environment. And so, if they're not working from a good chair, or if there's anything that is putting their health and safety at risk by working from home, you're actually responsible for that as their employer. So that, in some respects, was a bit of a surprise to me, but also it does make sense. But it also then made me think, well, we do have a duty of care, even in this time, just because people are working from in their homes, to ensure they have everything that's needed in order to be able to do that work safely and in a way that betters their life and doesn't make it their life any worse for it. So as part of that working from home policy, it included a checklist for our staff to fill out, which basically went into a lot of detail about what they do and what they don't have available as far as equipment and facilities and just whatever might be needed in order to ensure they can work in a safe environment, no different than what you would in an office space. And so part of getting back those checklists was also us identifying all the equipment we needed to purchase and order and get sent out to all of our staff. So I felt like Santa Claus for a week, ordering chairs and desks and all kinds of things to ensure that our staff were well taken care of. But I guess for me, it's maybe I've been doing this not long enough yet, but I really enjoy being able to do that, being able to purchase the best equipment for my staff, and being able to ensure that they are, being well looked after. And even probably one minor note I'll add to that is I even had staff send me the chairs or the desks that they wanted to purchase, and I found they weren't actually complying with current standards. So there was a thought there of just giving an allowance to my staff to go and purchase their own equipment. But then I guess that brought me to my attention the fact that even if you entrusted them with that, they may not actually buy what would be best for them, or at least not in accordance with what guidelines and standards actually say is the right equipment. So I've actually had to knock back a few staff now on their request for what they want, and being able to provide them with something that actually is a better product from the perspective of they've been tested and they've been through, and they're what's recommended, as opposed to just they look nice and fancy. And and in some cases that's costing us more money as a business. But again, it's not about, this is about ensuring that it's a long game. It's ensuring we've got our staff, it gives them a sense that they are being looked after and cared for by their employer, and that we do care about their well-being. And so I think that brings to a point loyalty, but at the same time it's also we do want our staff to not have back injuries and not have problems with their health that because of conditions we've had them working under. So so that working from home policy, I think, was a really good thing to put in place early, and to quickly identify any of those areas that we needed it. And actually what I would say is, even even when coronavirus was just starting up in around the first and second week of March, we already sent a survey around to our staff just to ask, do you have everything you need to be able to work from home? Do you have a good internet connection? And we went to some of the basic things, but also some of the great questions. And this wasn't actually put together by myself. This is put together by one of my other managers, Will Colvin, who looks after our HR. Also went to the point of asking, do you have good support systems around you? Do you have people around you, who you can lean on if you were to work from home? And majority of our staff came back saying yes, they did, but there were actually some who came back saying that they didn't. And I'm so grateful that it also went to that level, on just checking on our staff, because not only is the risk of physical injury, during this time and having people working from home, but there's a mental toll that can be taken. And, I'm really proud of the fact that that was something that was also taken into consideration
Right.
by the team, and to ask the question, just check, because I think sometimes there can be these things going on. I know there's what's the name of that? There's that special day where or week where it's about just are you okay?
Are you okay day?
Yeah, and it's sometimes it is just that question, that needs to be asked to really get an understanding of what people are really dealing with sometimes, especially when it comes to mental health. So I think that's a really important thing to be checking in on with your staff. It goes beyond just the physical office space and into really their whole well-being.
Right. I love how you take on the well-being of your staff, like you take on the well-being of your family. For you, there's no difference in that regard.
No.
And so far, one of the things that you've seen successful is, of course, relying on the experts, your lawyer.
Yeah.
Then implementing what the lawyer has suggested aside from working from home and understanding the real issues as a business owner.
Yep.
And then of providing the equipment that actually meets the standards and not skimping.
Yes.
I know that I talk to lots of business owners, and some business owners will skimp and then wonder 2 years later why they have all these fines. It's obvious. You do whole and complete work and not skimp. And also having the conversations with your team about why you're making certain decisions regarding the chairs that you've got them, or the desks.
Yes.
In that regard. But I really also love that it was a two-way conversation. It wasn't like, this is what you're imposing. It was like, this is the standard, and then had that inquiry.
Yes.
Now, another thing that you've pointed to is that you've been taking care of their mental well-being as part of motivating a team from working from home. Can you explain what else you've introduced in that regard that has made a difference?
Yeah, 100%. So I think there's really two key things that I would point to in what we've done in that regard. The first one, well, actually, no. Now that I think about it, I can think of a third one, but we'll
right.
start with
I'm
the first
intrigued.
Two. Actually, no. I might start with what that final thought was, because I think that also played a pretty key role. And so one of them was me sending out an email to the whole team, just basically to say, look, this is our position as a company. This is what it means for you with your job. This is what it means for us as a business. Just to really give them the facts of what we're dealing with, and and how us as a business and their employment is or isn't impacted by what's going on. Good news for us with the industry that we're in and the projects that we're working on, there hasn't been a huge impact, aside from needing to adjust to working from home. But it still meant all the work we had in hand is still in hand for us, which is very lucky in the current new world order. But at the same time, I think it was just important just for that email to go out and just address any concerns that people were having. I had some phone calls from the staff asking questions, really concerned that CDSE as a business was going to have to finish, and that they'd be out of a job, and worried for me and for my mental health as well. And I had no sense of any concern for myself in that period, but I think it was just important to send that out to all of our staff and just give them an update on, actually, we're okay. Like, appreciate everyone's concern. We're actually in a really good position. So then that could bring everyone just a sense of, one less thing for them to be concerned and worried about. The last thing I would want weighing on my staff's minds is my mental health and well-being, especially when everything is actually in an okay place. The other thing I'd point to help our staff out was we set up a buddy system. So as part of working from home, we've partnered everyone up with someone else within the company. And the way we described it is, it's just treat this as though you bumped into one another when you're grabbing a coffee in the office. We're not asking you to spy on one another. We're not asking you to have a, talk about work or anything. Like, we just want you to be in touch with, you know, other people and have it just a normal kind of conversation. It can be about your family, it can be about what you're dealing with at home, whatever comes up. But what it's doing is building a rapport within our group to look after one another and look out for each other. And we did say to them, if there's any reason why you're concerned about the other person, if there's a day they seem really flat, or if there's something that seems really off, then do let us know. Do feed that through to our HR team, so that way we can follow up and just check in, because we were conscious of the fact that it is a time that is heightened, with what people are dealing with and might be going through. And and in many cases, our staff could be dealing with things that aren't work related at all. There could be other things going on in their lives that have nothing to do with our business. And it may very well be that they're not interested in opening up with us about what that is, and that's okay. But as long as they have support and they have people to talk to, those types of things can still impact our business. It can still impact their performance. And I can even think of not during this kind of period with the coronavirus, but it's even been great when staff have shared things they're dealing with on a personal level, or things going on within their family that meant we could prepare our client that they were working with around what's happening with this person, what we're going to put in place to ensure that if they have to stop their work and need to take a few weeks off, that we'll continue to provide that service and ensure there's a good handover. So by being across what they're dealing with, even if it's not work related, we're able to still have a contingency plan in place to help with that. So I think that buddy system, I've been doing it myself as well. I'm not just, it's not something I'm imposing on the team and not doing myself, and I'm getting a lot out of it as well. It's really great having that opportunity just to connect with people and not just be keeping all your conversations and work or your work from home just surrounded by either empty walls or just your family and the kids, but the staff and the team that you're part of as well. So I think,
right.
Yeah. And then the other thing we've done, we've also partnered with Uprise. So Uprise are they provide counselling services. And not just that, one of the things they also do is they seem to be really at the front of mental health and well-being from the perspective of just teaching about mindfulness, teaching about the importance of dealing with negative emotions and negative reactions. So that I love kind of the way that so Uprise are a service, third-party service that we paid for, we've outsourced. And but what I really love about what they've created is the way they describe it is, before a crisis occurs for people from a mental health perspective where they need therapy or they need some really intense kind of help, that it's already about equipping and training and helping people with modules that they have through their app, which you can access also through the web. This is not, I have no shares in the company, so I'm not trying to, there's no sales pitch in it for me, but I really love the fact that they're about ongoing kind of improvement and work in people's mental health and well-being. And so we put that in place for the team as well. We've actually, they send us some very basic reports around how it's going and how much it's being used, and it sounds as though our team's really embraced it. I think almost 100% of the staff have actually logged in and started using their services. And
is it confidential?
It is confidential,
right.
Completely confidential. So we don't get the detail, we just get the general figures around it. And the other side to it is it includes counselling services. So there are trained counsellors and psychiatrists who are on call, available for them to be able to, and they strongly encourage. Actually, I think it's either 4 or 6 times more effective if you couple working through the modules with actually doing their counselling. So
fantastic.
Yeah. So look for us, and they also have create a particular module which also deals with the coronavirus and what we're dealing with in this time as well. So
Right.
for us, there was always a plan at some stage we would offer a counselling service to the team. Um, with what's happened with coronavirus, that just escalated that for us and made it something we made a priority to put in place, just knowing that there can be that toll that this is taking on people.
Great. And for those who haven't yet watched the business summit where Dave is talking about creating a contingency plan, you should go and listen to that, because the
Yes.
counseling services came out of creating the contingency plan and services to provide for the mental health of the
Correct.
the team.
Yes.
Very, very powerful in that regard.
Yes.
So, already the three other things, including, your home, working from home policies, there is, first of all, having a buddy system that made a huge difference, communicating with your staff, and then
Yes.
providing confidential counseling services as well, so
Yes.
that they can have a very safe space to communicate outside their own family or outside the company in essence.
Yes. Yep.
Great.
And one other thing to add as well with that counselling service that we put in place, it's not just for our staff, but it's also for their family as well. So if maybe our staff member's doing fine, but their spouse is not, then their spouse can still call and use the counselling services as well. So I think that's a really good thing as well, because obviously that could still impact that person's ability to work, especially working from home, if there's breakdowns happening within their household. So I think it's a really really valuable service and really proud of the fact we've been able to offer that to our team.
Well, I'm proud of you that you relate to the whole company as a family, because very few companies actually do that, in providing that kind of service. So it's very clear that you are having your team in mind, their safety, their well-being, but that their family is your family, and looking at how else to provide the best workability for them inside of this new world order.
Yeah. Yep.
Great. We unfortunately we're running out of time.
Really, already?
But I know it's crazy. But are there any other tips you'd like to share about what you have instituted for your team to work effectively from home?
Yes. Look, there's been a few things. I think the other thing we've run a few more of is having team meetings. So some of them have been purely needed for the business, but also it's also created a real opportunity. Every team meeting that we run we always start with talking about our company vision, our company values. So it's also meant we've been able to really build the culture within our team of what we want our team to, I guess, training our staff in what our company culture really is, and also how we're responding to the situation of everyone working from home, and the attitude, I guess, to take into things. The other thing I was going to mention as well is I've also been encouraging the team to start looking after themselves from a health and fitness perspective. So I know some of our guys have literally taken it to a whole nother level where they're trying to outdo each other every day with how far they run and how much exercise they're doing. So we'll leave them to their own devices. But I also think it's not just seeing this working from home thing as this horrible negative thing that we have to deal with, but also there's the opportunity that comes out of it, to improve ourselves, and it's been amazing hearing back from our staff that some of them have been reading books more, or reading books when they haven't picked up a book in a long time, and the difference that it's made for them in working from home with their relationships with their partners. And so I think it's actually really lovely to hear the space that's been created in it, but also being conscious of the pitfalls that sometimes exist with working from home. Sometimes it can be really hard to switch off. Sometimes it can be really hard. You get to the normal time that you'd pack up at the office and go home, and there's people in our team who are they're in busy jobs, and they keep working right through until very late at night. And so one of the things we've also tried to teach our team, and I can be just as guilty of this myself, is make sure you get up and in the morning, and don't just roll out of bed and jump straight behind your computer screen. Go through a normal process of, in fact, one of our guys will actually walk to the train station as if he was going to the office, and then walk back to his house to start his day. And I think it's good to just put in place these kinds of habits, and healthy habits, rather than falling into the trap of, well, I'm working from home, so I don't need to worry about and just make it almost becoming then or more of a slave to work. I think is one potential pitfall of working from home, where you get up early and just jump on the computer, and then you don't look away from your screen. You don't eat healthy. You're not hydrating yourself. So these are all the pitfalls we can fall into, and it's very easy to fall into those, especially when you're working from home and not surrounded by an office of others where people get up and go to lunch, and it makes you think, oh, I should probably have lunch now. When you're behind your screen and sitting at your desk, it's very easy to then start thinking to just zone out from the time. So even if it means setting alarms on your phone to ensure that you're following a bit of structure and you're staying committed to it. And the other thing I do with my wife is I let her know how long I'm planning to work until, and then I either stick to finishing at that time, or if I'm going to run later in order to finish what I need to get done for the day, then I need to go back and renegotiate with her when I'm going to be finishing for the day. Because otherwise then I'm having an impact on her.
Yes.
So I think all these things that we can put in place, and just being conscious of what are some of the things we can fall into if we are working from home that are unhealthy habits, to try and avoid either getting into those in the first place, or catch ourselves if we start finding ourselves falling into them. And I think
Great.
that's been another real thing for me is, I've caught myself falling into some bad habits, or I know for me, exercising daily is something I've been trying to put in place. And I had a week there where I came up with all the excuses why I couldn't do it that week. And then when I caught myself and realized what I'd been doing, it was like, no, now I really need to do this every single day. And so, it's not, don't be afraid of failing, but actually, when you catch it, then it's going, no, this is actually really important. And, I guess not being too hard on our expectations of ourselves in this time as well, is really important.
So great. There's a lot of nuggets in what you just shared. The first one was, having team meetings where you keep on discovering your vision and values and living inside of your vision and values, irrespective that we're in a new world order.
Yes.
I didn't say that correct. New world order. I just created something new because I can. I do that a lot. There you go. the afternoon, I've lost language again. This is a very normal experience for everybody that's listening. You just never know what's going to show up.
We know what you mean. That's the main thing.
Are we going to delve into it today? One of my favorite made-up words.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes. And the other thing, of course, is creating a structure, a routine. It's important with your team that they do continue a routine or create one.
Yes.
And that's not normal for everybody. Not everybody has always had a routine, but in these times, it's really important that you do have a routine, whether you go for a walk, you go for a run, you stand up, you meditate, whatever that is, it's really critical that you do that. The other thing is being also strict or having boundaries regarding your time at work. Yes. And if you're going to go over, it's really critical to communicate with the parties that are going to be impacted, whether it's your wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, the children, because there's that expectation that when you do finish work, you're going to be present for them. So it's really important to have an effective team, and that your team are also empowered in having those kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you is, how successful has this been for your company? Another way to ask the question, how has been productivity as a result of this being put in your company?
Look, I would say, in a very general sense, I think it's been quite successful. I think the other thing that's been good about it is we're very conscious of where our team is at. So it's been great that I've actually had my management team saying to me, can you also check up on this person? Can you give these people a call? So we've we've been at least enough across kind of what's going on with our staff to know. And when I have called those people, it's been really needed. I know for me, I'm very relational. A big part of what I enjoy most about kind of my time, I enjoy the kind of a quarterly review with our staff, because it means I get to sit with them for some time and build on a relationship with them. Often some of the pitfalls I fall into when I'm in the old world when we could all work in an office together was I would have these tasks I was trying to get through, but then I would just allow myself to get distracted by all my staff coming over and wanting to talk, and often about work and about business and that kind of thing. But I really get filled up by being in people's world and in their lives. But again, now that we have a buddy system in place and we put all these things in place, it's meant I'm not as regularly in touch with them. But the fact that they've identified, hey, this person needs a call, can you be the one to just check in on how they're going, has been really important and often been very timely, and sometimes just to be able to provide that perspective of saying, it's okay to be dealing with what you're dealing with, and sorry, I'm trying to think, what was your question again?
Well, it was inside, you were really expanding on like the difference that these policies make inside of the success of your company.
Oh, sorry, and how successful it's been. Yes,
yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So, I do think the team's actually been very, I don't think we've really had an issue with the team being motivated and working well. I've actually even had some of the staff members saying they feel like they've been more productive working from home than what they were back working at the office. But I think there are those different challenges. Certainly, some of our staff with kids at home. One of my staff members was sharing with me just the other day how he was half an hour late to one of the team meetings because his kids started a fire in the house. So
as one does.
Yeah, as you expect. So literally fighting fires in the house. So I guess it just shows how things can show up and things can happen that are outside of what you expect, and what you'd normally be dealing with, in the way things were before. And that's certainly been a challenge I've had as well. I shared earlier with the kids and everything. So, there's a level of just also needing to be a bit more understanding of when people's productivity has been lower and understanding what they're dealing with and how they're managing it. And some of the feedback I've been getting from some of the management as well is that they've had to just kind of lower the expectation when it comes to productivity within their team, and just be realistic about it. And that's not just talking in terms of CDSE, but also on some of the projects that we work on where we work with other contractors as well. There's actually been a really big hit on one of our projects because the three biggest companies that share the office with us there and that project are from Italy, Korea, and China. 3 countries most hit by coronavirus, and so you just can't expect the same output when half your team is stuck either in isolation overseas or just unavailable. So we've also just had to manage the expectations on productivity. So it hasn't been 100% success, nothing different. It's definitely been just a level of but I think for us, probably what I feel most proud of is it seems like we're always kind of ahead of what's going on and up to speed on what's happening with our staff, and have that rapport with them already as well, that we're addressing things as they come up, and we're feels like we're across it.
So great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave, again, for your contribution. The biggest takeaway for me in this is that to have a highly motivated team, it's really about the kind of relationship and communication that is present amongst your organization. Then everything else really does fall in place. So I really hear a lot of you and the team having a deep relationship, not just at a work level, but holistic level. And that's obvious with the things you've instituted, the buddy system, the counseling, not just for your employees, but for their families. You checking in on them, the manager team is asking you to interrupt. There's all of that comes from a bigger relationship that you have inside of your organization. very, very powerful, and something that all of us as business owners can take away and develop ourselves in to fulfill on what really matters to us.
Yes. Can I?
So,
There's two quick points I wouldn't mind just making real quickly.
sure.
I was just spinning in my mind as we were talking. Then one was also just the challenge of doing meetings via Zoom or via online meetings. So we've actually set some real guidelines for our team to ensure they're on the call early. That if it's a 10 o'clock meeting, you're on the call. Generally, we say 10 minutes early, and that way you've got some time for if the internet connection is not working or if there's something going wrong. It's you're still able to start your meetings on time and not be and be able to be efficient. So I think setting up those rules, and even just simple rules around muting your microphone when not talking and all of that. And so we really set out some pretty clear guidelines to everyone in the team around how we conduct our team meetings, and it's just been very effective. So I think that being responsible for ensuring everyone's across those guidelines and those rules that we've established has meant we've been able to have very effective meetings in that environment. The other quick thing I wouldn't mind just plugging, one new venture that CDSE is entering into and what we're building at the moment is our own working from home package for businesses. So the intention of that is, now that we've been through the pain of I guess instituting that, and also realizing how clunky it can be, I guess, doing it all manually with a lot of back and forth emails between each of our staff and our management. We're actually creating our own platform which businesses can sign up for, where it'll all be automated. So it's effectively trying to reduce the amount of time and effort involved in it. And we're also, it's not quite there yet, but potentially going to be partnering with some office suppliers as well, so that it will produce a purchase order which can just be sent straight to one of our partners. And hopefully we're trying to get a discount as well for anyone using our platform for the purchase of any equipment they're needing for their staff, like we talked about before. So keep an eye on our website with CDSE, and we'll definitely be announcing on our platforms, through Facebook and through LinkedIn and through our website when that's going to be available. But we're really excited at the thought of being able to really help out, I guess, our business community as well with that kind of product and that kind of package. So, and it would also be an actual assisting businesses with creating their policy as well for working from home.
I'm very excited by what you are creating, and I just really acknowledge you for all the work you have put in for this kind of success. It's not a small feat. It does take lots of time, lots of planning, lots of conversations. Sometimes, having to negotiate with your blood family to make all of this happen as well. So I really acknowledge you for the huge contribution you are on this business summit and to us as business owners. And of course, anybody can get in communication with David. You'll get all the links, which will be provided to you as well, connected to this video. Thank you so much again for your generosity of time.
No problem. Thank you.
For everybody listening to this business summit, thank you for your generous listening. My team and I are there for you as you navigate through these unprecedented times. If you are interested in having a conversation with me, feel free to email me at connect@rugaregomo.com. Thank you very much.